Big news, guys. Nikon just announced the Nikon ZR, their very first dedicated cinema camera. And not like a Red camera that has a Nikon Z mount. This is built in collaboration with Red, but it is a Nikon Z camera with Red color science in it. And this is not just like an updated spec kind of camera, like a little, spec bump. It is actually a big step forward for Nikon. And honestly, maybe for the whole camera industry. Luckily, I actually got to hold on to that camera for a little bit, and I'm very excited about this. So let's take a look. What's up, everyone? My name is Martin Wong, and I'm a photographer here down in Southern California, Los Angeles. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the Nikon ZR, a brand new camera Nikon that just announced. But before I dig very deep into this, let's break down the spec of this camera just a little bit. It is a 24.5 megapixel full-frame sensor camera, kind of similar to the one that you get from the Nikon Z6 III, but it does have 15 plus stop of dynamic range. And check this out, internal 6K 60 RAW recording with the new Red NE codec, which is like the Red color science, they're all built in there. It has dual native ISO at 800 and 6400. And the crazy good part is that it has 7.5 stops of IBIS, which is in-body image stabilizations. It comes with a bright 4-inch LCD screen that flips out and is huge, the biggest one in Nikon Z camera so far. And something that I haven't heard in a while is that it has 32-bit float audio with Nokia Ozo. I didn't know Nokia is still in the audio game, but yeah. And of course, being a cinema camera, it doesn't have a viewfinder. However, that means it is much lighter. It is only 1.19 pounds, which I think is like the lightest Nikon full-frame camera. Like it is lighter than Nikon Z6 III, which is already pretty light. And all this crazy tech inside a small camera body only costs $2,200. And I think that price point is the most surprising thing for me so far. I mean, it is a cinema camera with Red tech, with IBIS, with Pro Audio for just a little bit over $2,000. So Nikon is really aiming this at like indie filmmakers or content creators or vlogger or some kind of hybrid shooter like me. And this is not the only company that's doing that right now. Like Canon actually just announced their EOS C50 like a few days ago at around 3900, so a little bit less than 4K. It does have a higher megapixel sensor, I think it's 32 megapixel. It does shoot 7K open gate, but it has no IBIS, which is kind of strange, and I think that is a big miss. I think people were complaining about it when it's been less than 2 days. At this price point, comparing to the Canon and other cameras, I think the Nikon ZR might be a better approach. Like the Canon is great, don't get me wrong, it's an awesome camera, but it doesn't feel that appealing, especially for like run and gun creators. But maybe that's not what they're aiming for. Now, Nikon isn't new to video, of course. I've been using the Nikon Z8 and then of course the Z9. They're both amazing, phenomenal cameras. Like they do great videos. They do amazing photos, but they're not cinema camera. They're more of like a hybrid, So this ZR is a little bit different, It's like Nikon saying, this one is for serious video creators. We're not compromising anything. So when Nikon announced that they were buying Red last year, a lot of people were kind of skeptical, like, can they just buy their way in and, become the next video makers like in the industry? There was a lot of skepticism around that. But I think the strategy actually makes sense. Instead of building cinema camera, like a whole cinema line from scratch, they were focusing on just their amazing lens and cameras and photography, and then they tap into the Red reputation and their expertise. And then I think ZR is the first baby, the first result of all this. And on a personal note, by the way, I actually got to play, well, I didn't play with it. I kind of like hold the Nikon ZR recently when I got to talk with some Nikon rep. And they also let me get some photos with it. So my first impressions, without really digging deep into it, is that it is light. So like heavily light, the weight wise. For cinema camera, it doesn't feel intimidating. It feels very approachable. It feels like something that I want to carry all day. And I feel like using on a gimbal, it's just gonna make it even lighter and easier to move around. Like if I don't already have two Nikon Z6 III, this would be an instant buy. Like I'm adding to cart right now. But honestly, I think I might still get one, you know, because like the form factor just make video so much more enjoyable. And I think it's gonna change the way that I shoot video in general. But also, let's talk about the audio for a second, okay? It comes with a new digital hot shoes, which I am so excited about. So meaning I don't always have to use a 3.5mm jack for, you know, plugging in audios. And I think Sony was like leading that and they were doing amazing. So I'm glad that Nikon is doing that now. It's gonna make a much cleaner setup. And 32 bits float. Yes, I mean my audio here, even that I'm using, is 32 bits float. Meaning I can shout or get a bit quieter, but I can recover it. It's kind of like raw, but for audio. And audio is usually kind of painful for a hybrid camera. So this is a really big deal. Also, by the way, Nokia, I didn't know Nokia is still doing stuff. I just know their phone, their indestructible phone. But I guess they're in the audio game too. I mean, I'm not complaining, I just didn't know that. All right, but anyway, okay, let's go back to talk about everything else. Let's talk about industry. Now, let's zoom out for a second. Camera companies, I feel like they have been getting too comfy, too comfortable. For years, it's been the same story. You know, every few years, they add a few more megapixels, a little bit better autofocus. And then they're like, all right, that's it. Let's call an upgrade. Meanwhile, smartphones like this are taking over. Like they are the main driver for social media content. I mean, of course, big cameras still being used for production, but a lot of things that we do this day are driven by social media. And I remember like back in the days, like early Instagram day, like maybe like 10 years ago, Instagram stuff should be super polished. Like that was the norm. Like everything was shot on DSLR or mirrorless cameras. And then TikTok come in and that changed everything. All the videos are raw, genuine, phone driven. People just like start talking when they're recording on their phone. So phone was the default creative tool, which is not a bad thing. Like getting a lot more people into being creative, doing stuff, good. But I think that's kind of changing again. I think the whole tide is shifting back to high quality content, like on YouTube, on Instagram Reel, and even TikTok. Like creators are realizing that polished productions can help you really stand out again. We've crowded so much of just very genuine raw content. So making something that's a little more special will make you like really stand out from the crowd. And the camera like this one, the Nikon ZR, is sitting at the perfect spot for this. Like the perfect moment for this is not too expensive where it's not too intimidating for someone to buy if they want to get serious about content creation. But it is also have so much to offer for such a small camera. However, with that being said, I don't think camera company should relax. Like smartphones aren't just standing still. They are updating every single year. Every year there's a new iPhone, a new Samsung Galaxy or Huawei or like some other smartphone company. Like every year they're still going crazy. Like computational photography, AI powered videos, even like auto editing. Like phones are catching up fast. And now they're almost on par with like mirrorless camera. But what they can't really replicate, at least for now, is cinema grade color science. But I'm sure lots of smartphone companies are hiring people to make that happen. But they also don't have pro level audio yet, or like, you know, the flexibility of a dedicated camera system. So that is why like a camera like this, the Nikon ZR, this is why it matters. But hopefully Nikon, Sony, Canon, Pentax, whatever, Fuji, I want them to keep pushing for innovation, because if they get too comfy again, it's gonna cost them a lot. And I hope they have learned that lesson so far. But what does it all mean? Well, to me, the Nikon ZR is a smart, it's an aggressive move by Nikon. It gives creators a really affordable option to get cinema quality. It proves that Nikon and Red are really serious about video now. And it kind of put pressure on every single camera brand to also improve, you know? And Sony is always leading so far. So I think they also will feel the pressure to be like, oh wow, other companies are gonna catch up. Let's, you know, make even better stuff. So I feel like this is a good push for the whole industry in general. So personally for me, my Nikon Z8 and my Z6 IIIs are still my go-to for hybrid work. But the ZR is looking very tempting, so I might look into it. I might get it, especially if I'm doing like dedicated video projects. So I think I'm tempted. We'll see. Let me give me a few more days to think about it. But honestly, I think this is just the beginning of what Nikon and Red partnership can deliver. And I'm really excited to see what else they can, deliver in the future. So this is only ZR1. I feel like they're gonna make ZR2 or maybe ZR something other name and ZR7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know. The number's gonna get kind of confusing, but I have a whole problem with camera company naming camera numbering. That's a whole different video, but anyway, that's not the point. Now, I want to know what you think. Like, do you think the Nikon ZR hit the sweet spot for you? Is this what you've been looking for? Or if you're like, already been using other brand like a Canon or Sony or even Blackmagic, like, are you sticking with those? Or like, is there something that you wish the Nikon ZR has? Or what's something that Nikon ZR has that the brand that you're using that doesn't have, Let me know in the comment down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, if you want to see more content like this from me. Click the like below, click the comments, do the thing, whatever. Just, tell your mom, tell your friends. Yeah. Anyway, see you in the next one.